This video is going to show you how you can release a peripheral driver library in AndroidThings. We'll discuss using driver libraries and the release process. Then we will revisit our gesture sensor library we wrote in a previous lesson and release it publicly. Let's get started. A driver library is a reusable piece of code that you can run to control a peripheral sensor or actuator at a higher level of abstraction without having to worry about how the peripheral works or its communication details. Driver libraries need to be hosted online somewhere to allow others to access them. There are a few choices, but we are going to use BinTray. BinTray allows you to host your Android libraries and use them in Android apps. If you have seen the JCenter dependency before, this is the link to BinTray. To use a driver library, you add the dependency to your build.gradle. This then gives you access to the public interface of that code, and you can use it to control the peripheral. We're going to release to BinTray the library we have for the gesture sensor we used in the library creation lesson. You don't have to have done this lesson, but here is the link just in case you want to check it out. First, you need to create a BinTray account. Go to bintray.com and select sign up here for an open source account. Enter your details, or like I am doing, sign up with your GitHub account. Now that's done, we can come back and use the BinTray website later. We're going to use a helper plugin to release our AndroidThings driver library. This is the Navoda BinTray release plugin. It handles all of the packaging and organizing so we don't have to worry about it. To get started, we add the plugin to the top of our library's build.gradle file with this code. Our build script needs to pull down the BinTray release dependency, and this also comes from JCenter. So we add that at the bottom of our file with this code. Now that we are using the BinTray release plugin, we can add the details of our library ready to be published. The plugin lets us create a closure called publish. This is where we add all of the details about our library that we want others to use. The user org, group ID, and artifact ID are how we uniquely identify our library. When releasing, you will likely want the group ID to match the package of your code, and the artifact ID will be the name of the library. Publish version is the version of your library. You will want to increment this on each release. Here we are using the major.minor.patch versioning pattern, which is known as semantic versioning. The description is a small summary of what your library is, so that potential users can at a glance see if it fits their needs. And finally, the website is usually a link to the source code or documentation for the library. Once we have the publish closure configured, all we need to do now is run the command from the command line and it will release our library to BinTray. We copy the command from the BinTray release readme and paste it into a text editor, as we will need to modify it before we run it. Notice at the end is a dry run flag. This allows you to test your project is set up right without doing an actual release. If we run the command now with the dry run flag set to true, it will not care about what we have set the other parameters to and only package but not release our app. Let's give it a go. Now that we want to run the command for real, you can see we need a BinTray username and a BinTray key. The username, if you signed up with GitHub, will be the same as your GitHub username. The key is written on BinTray. If you view your profile, then click Edit and then go to API key. Adding these to the command in the text editor creates our full release command. Remember, don't share your key with anybody, so it's not wise to store this in the repository or anywhere public. Running the command starts the release process. Now that the command has completed successfully, we can look on BinTray to prove that it worked. Under latest activity, you can see we have successfully released our library. The final thing that needs to be done is to add this driver to be available for other people through JCenter. Clicking on the library name, we can see in the bottom right that we can link our BinTray library to JCenter. Click this button and click OK. You'll have to wait roughly 24 hours for it to be available on JCenter. That's it. You now know how to release an AndroidThings driver library to JCenter. You can use the BinTray release plugin to package your driver library, and you can make it available to other people via its group ID and artifact ID on JCenter.